Okay. Okay, today we're going to do the snow scene, and that's it right there. It's essentially the same scene that I painted in the previous video, except that this was the snow day. And I'm going to do it a little differently than the other one in that I'm going to start with my darks right off the bat. And I'm using I'm going to use two flat brushes, Richardson, one number 4 and one number 6, so that I can keep the lights and darks separate. I'm going to start out with the darks with the 4. I'm going to use my pre-mixed dark that I mixed the other day and just establish essentially the horizon. I'm going to put my mountains back in here. Here's my big tree. Here's a smaller tree over here. And I got a couple of small pinions in the back. And I have a large cast shadow. I'm not going to make it quite as large as what's in the actual photograph. Now I'm going to put in some of my, I'm not even going to clean my brush. I'm going to put in some of my dark greens. And again, I'm going to sort of just scatter them all over the place because I'm going to have to go back in with white. Again, I'm putting the darks in first. Again, I'm not filling the space completely up because I'm actually going to put some white in there. So these were snow covered. Okay, and I'm going to put some really dark darks near the bottom of these using my premixed dark from the other day, which was burnt sienna and ultramarine blue. Remember, the green was ultramarine blue and yellow ogre. Yellow. So it's dark towards the bottom of these. I'm not making it quite as dark as it goes in the background. Okay, and now I'm basically going to just wipe my brush off and put in the mountain range with the purple that I pre-mixed the other day. And again, I move the mountain range. Okay, I'm going to put a little purple under these trees. Not much, just a little bit. Okay. Now I'm going to actually clean the brush off, just wipe it off, not dipping it in turpenoid. And I'm going to go to my pre-mixed blue from the other day, which I'm not real happy with. It's too dark. I'm just going to put it up near the top of the sky. And now I'm actually going to really lighten it up with a lot of white, a little bit of ultramarine blue, but a really lot of white. So I'm going to basically really lighten it up as I go towards the mountains. I wasn't really that happy with what I had the other day. If I overlap the mountains, it's okay. Overlap the trees, it's okay. I want a little more ultramarine blue in that. And I'm going to put some clouds in. And I'm going to go to my other brush for the whites, and I'm going to put the clouds in with that. Again, there's a little yellow ochre mixed in, not much. Okay, now I'm going to put my cast shadow in from these trees, and it's actually, again, I'm using ultramarine blue and white. And these all have cast shadows. I'm going to mix it with some of that purple. And I'm mixing some of the mountain color into the lower part of the sky because it is early morning. You do get some reds in the lower part of the sky due to the atmosphere. Okay, now I'm going to actually start putting the snow in. I'm going to use white, use a little bit of my medium, and white is never white, snow is never white. Basically what I'm using here is, again, yellow ochre and white. I'm putting the ground cover in first. Notice as I go back, I'm making it lighter as I go back in the distance for atmospheric perspective. Okay, now I'm going to put the snow in on the trees. I'm just going to dab it in again. I'm using white and yellow ochre. And I'm actually putting it in the spaces that I left. And I'm going to go back with some ultramarine blue and a little bit of my premixed green just to touch this up a little bit. Darker towards the bottom. Reestablish my cast shadow. Okay, again I'm going to go in with the dark. And again I want to reestablish the darks near the bottoms of these pinions. I'm mixing the dark with some of my premixed green to reestablish some of these darks. Okay, let me clean the brush off. I'm going to go back in and put the reestablish the big cast shadow again. I'm using ultramarine blue and some of my premixed purple. And now I want to just put in some shrubbery, clean my brush off a little bit. I'm just going to use straight yellow ochre and a little bit of burnt sienna. And just put a few, these are some shrubs that might be popping through the snow. And I'm going to show you another trick that not many are going to show you. I'm actually going to use Q-tips to basically fan some of this stuff out so it looks like little bits of grasses. Again, I'm going to just clean some of this up a little bit. And this will probably be it. Let me put a little more snow in. and we'll call it quits, and then I'm going to go back in and rework this later on. So I'd have a few more snow piles up front. Here are these grasses. I don't want to overdo it. And we'll call it quits now until I essentially go back and rework this.